different stuff that's happened this week. Obviously, we've had the Calgary game. Jesse Marsh has done his pre-match press conference. There's been interviews with Radrazani. Phil Hayes obviously talked about both of those things. So what we're going to talk about this evening is we're going to have a little bit of a look about the season. We're going to do a very quick review of the last couple of games in the pre-season and what we think that means going forward. We're going to do a bit of a Premiership preview as to what we think to expect this year. We'll look at things like who we think are going to be standout players this year, who's going to be top scorers. And then we're also going to look at the Wolves match. So by all means, comment away. Smash a like on the video if you haven't already. And if you're not already a subscriber, then please consider subscribing for us. So first and foremost, Dan, what do you reckon to your new shirt?
I think the new shirt is growing on me. I saw a picture. I think the new shirt's definitely growing on me. With the full kit, it looks a lot better.
Right, yeah.
But I saw this here.
Joffy dressed as cheese. There's been various things said about it. There's a picture of Robin Koch knocking about, which says it's on Twitter. It's not particularly nice, but you want to have a look at that. Blue Stilton crackers. How many people, what I want to know is how many people were actually not liking the shirt, yet while they were on Twitter saying they didn't like the shirt, they were actually in a queue to buy it, because that was interesting. Because it was about 10 minutes I was having a conversation with Joe from Just Joe about the fact we were both, having error messages and we were struggling a little bit. And that was on Twitter. We were just having that sort of brief conversation about what we were. But it was a bit of a strange thing. Again, it seems to be that the technology is not quite right with regards to Leeds United at the minute. And I must admit, I like the shirt, but when I pulled it on, it did smell a little bit like paint stripper. I'm not going to lie. On the inside, I'm not sure you know what paint stripper actually smells like. You never know the days with the work in your life. So just to get into the nuts and bolts, if you haven't already liked the video or subscribed, please go and do that. And again, if you want to put any comments in there about what we're saying, then obviously that would be good with response to those. So first and foremost, I didn't actually ask you the question, did you get to see the Calgary match?
I got to see the last little bit of it. We were camping and there was worship. It was a Christian camp. And I was worshipping. We didn't see the match. No, I saw the last little bit of it.
I saw it. Obviously, we were in a situation where we had been. Tell us more about this, Chipper. We had been having a look at the ladies' match, which was an interesting game. Obviously, it's a completely different speed of game to the men's game. They did very, very well to win that, which I thought was phenomenal. But then we moved on to the Calgary game, and I just saw everything that I would have expected to see from Leeds playing I suppose you'd probably say a championship poor, middle of the road poor championship side. No, not New Wine. It was DTI. But there you go. But I think the game was. I think we're starting to see some of these new signings come together and get a bit of an idea of what Jesse Marsh is.
Yeah.
Is that what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Rodrigo played well, and you can say it was a poor team, but he scored a hat trick, and there's players that didn't do that. So
I think the thing with it is what you want to see is it coming together, and you see the pressing, and I think in this system I can now see why Tyler Adams was essential, because I think for us he's going to be an absolute game changer this year.
I would rather have him than Mo Kamara. No disrespect to Mo Kamara, but I think Tyler Adams would suit the system much better.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting to see don't get me wrong, we were playing a team and it wasn't difficult to get the ball back off this team when we were pressing, but it was interesting to see what Jesse Marsh's tactics were all about. For us to score 6 goals, I mean, obviously we saw Bamford on the team sheet at Elland Road, which was, I mean, you could see how much it meant to him. He was absolutely elated. It was nice to see everybody else weighing in with goals. Rodrigo, or Rodri, as Marsh seems to be renaming him.
That's Man City's Rodri.
It seemed a bit. I don't know if that's a thing, or that's what he likes to be named. But it was interesting to see that game. And you know what? If we get both of those players, like we get Bamford fit, we get Rodrigo doing what we actually thought he was going to do when we bought him, or anything close to it, we could be in for a good season. I think.
Now we do have a list here of what we think will happen this season. Who we think the top scorer, star man, surprise package, most improved, breakthrough youngster, final league position, and flop of the season.
Yeah.
is what we have here, and we're gonna say one for Leeds, and then I'm gonna chip in with one who I think will fall in that category from the whole league.
And then after that, we're gonna talk about the season in general, and then we're gonna look at the Wolves game coming up at the weekend. So what's to go first? Who do we think is going to be top scorer, Dan?
Top scorer, I think it'll be Brendan Aronson, which is quite a new one. Not a lot of people have said that, but I think if you look at his stats for Salzburg and the USMNT, he's probably one of the more clinical players. I'd love to say Bamford, but I don't think he's going to stay fit all season. I think he'll definitely stay fit for longer than he did last season, but I don't think that he's going to be fit for long enough to be the top scorer.
Interesting question. For me, goodness me, I think this is such a difficult one, because if Bamford stays fit, he's your top scorer, undoubtedly. Who's going to be the penalty taker now? Because it was
penalties
Rafinha.
will be. I think it'll probably be Bamford again. Maybe Click is going to be on the bench. It won't be Click. I think it'll be Bamford or Rodrigo.
Ray Sammy says it's going to be Harrison. I don't think it'll be Harrison.
No, not Harrison.
I would be happy to see Harrison weigh in with as many goals and assists as he did last season.
Who's going to be on free kicks?
Who's going to be on free? Well, I think Rasmus can take them.
No, Rasmus is more indirect. I think possibly Sinistera. Click sold. I don't think he is yet. I think he will be though. I think he
probably will be sold. Yeah.
I don't think to the Championship. I think he's more likely to go to the Bundesliga. Helder Costa has secured a loan to a Saudi Arabian team. I don't know what team it is.
And I didn't even have to drive him there, which is always a bonus.
Yeah. Who do you think top scorer will be? Dan?
I'm hoping Pat Bamford will stay fit. If Bamford stays fit, I think he'll be top scorer, which is what we're all hoping for. Again, if he's not fit, then we've got to be looking at Rodrigo. I know it's not particularly popular, but he seems to suit this particular. He could actually really change. The system's so different. The system is so different from what it was last year in reality, in terms of that narrowness and in terms of what he's doing in those tight spaces. Don't get me wrong, we played that Calgary game. It must have done the world of good for his confidence. We still saw him hitting the ball high and wide on occasion, and we still saw him really under or over playing the ball, so he has still got that in his game. But if he gets on a run, he could be really important this season, and I'm hoping that we see that out of him. So for me, it's Bamford, but again, it's one of those sort of things. If it's not Bamford, I'm not really sure who it's going to be. I'm hoping we're going to weigh in with goals from various places where we hadn't before. So I'm going to go for Bamford. You're going for?
I'm going for
Aronson, which is interesting.
Starman. Who do you think the standout player will be next season?
Tyler Adams, because of the system.
Same. I was going to say Tyler Adams. I think that he's just going to be. I think Tyler Adams and Rocker. I think more so Tyler Adams, but Rocker, I think possibly more even on level, the way they complement each other. They are going to be obviously building a partnership, and I think they'll be equally as good as each other. I think.
The question is, as a Leeds fan, what do we talk about in terms of star man? What are some of the attributes you'd expect to see from?
Well, after last season, we need to have some defensive solidity. We need to have people who can play the ball and create chances.
Really. You see, for me, here's the thing. Quite a lot was said about the fact that under Bielsa, I know KG talks about the dark arts, the claiming for penalties, the shouting for penalties, the hassle around the referee, the sort of nips and the tucks, the things that Alioski used to do, where he used to have a little nibble at another player to try and get them sent off. That kind of thing has been the thing that we've been lacking at Leeds United, and we've not had teams that, I mean, don't surround the referee in the way that some teams do, but I mean, saying, come on, we're not really getting the rub of the green here in terms of some of the decisions. I think it was in one of those games that the referee stood on Tyler Adams' foot, and the Tyler Adams gave him a right gobful. And it's like, when that whole situation with Archie Gray getting taken out by that Villa player who absolutely, mullered him. It was like, in my opinion, it was a really tough challenge on a 16-year-old. You'd want to see Rasmus Christensen coming over from the other side of the pitch and giving him some grief. But for me, that's more likely to be Tyler Adams. I think it'll be Tyler Adams. I think it has to be, in my opinion. Bearing in mind, I think this is possibly going to be Cooper's last season.
Do you think he will start against Wolves as captain, or do you think?
No.
I think Bamford will start against Wolves as captain, and then he'll slowly phase Bamford into more of a deputy captain, and make Tyler Adams the first team captain. But I don't think Tyler Adams will start as captain just because he's not been in the
John McGinn, yeah.
Yeah, he's not been in the team for long enough.
Yeah, his name escapes me for a second there. I think for me, I think the mid-term aim is going to be for Tyler Adams to be captain. I think that Jesse Marsh talks about his leadership qualities quite a lot, and I think there's a reason for that. Yeah. And I think that he's obviously been captain under Jesse Marsh in previous teams.
Yeah.
But again, Jesse Marsh is the type of person who respects legacy. We've seen the way that he talked about Bielsa, how much respect he showed for Bielsa. He's aware of how Leeds fans feel about Bielsa. Now we've got a captain at the minute who's still playing in Liam Cooper, who has a massive impact when he comes on the pitch in terms of his leadership qualities. So I don't think there's going to be a situation where Jesse Marsh is just going to take that armband off Liam Cooper. I think Tyler Adams can wait a season for that. But for me, if Liam Cooper gets injured and he's out for a stretch of 10 games or so, I think that armband is eventually going to be passing to Tyler Adams. It might go via Bamford just in the short term, but I actually think long term it's going to actually be Tyler Adams. That's my thought. Lucas Radaby, yeah, what a player he was. So Starman Tyler Adams, I think you're in agreement with that. Yeah.
Surprise package. Just quickly on someone put in Lucas Radaby. There is someone who's joined the FPL who has an absolutely brilliant name, and it's Nowhere I'd Rather Be, and that's just an absolutely brilliant FPL name.
Vince, welcome. US fans, you're welcome here with us.
Surprise package.
Incidentally, just as a side, I come across somebody on Twitter recently who was a fan that joined Leeds when we got the Socceroos, when we got Harry Kewell and Mark Viduka from Australia. And he became a Leeds fan on account of that and has followed them through highs and lows for, over a decade since that point. And I just hope some of the United States fans that are tuning into us, who are loving watching some of the content that we're putting out and some of the other content providers are putting out, that you're enjoying the ride and you're enjoying getting to know about English football. I hope you stay once we eventually don't have this American contingent. I hope you stay. I really do. So what were you saying?
So surprise package. So is that like new signing you think could do well, or just someone who will surprise everyone?
I think it's probably got to be a player that comes in either as a signing or a youth player that's not been in the first team squad that surprises us.
Yeah. You see, okay. Who do you think it'll be? I'll wait for mine because
I'd like to say Sinisterra, because if Sinisterra is a surprise package,
no, because he can't surprise people because we've already got high expectations for him.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If he does end up being the surprise package, then for me, I'd like to see Rodrigo as a surprise package.
My surprise package is Firpo, just because I think that the system will suit him. I know we're looking at bringing in a left back, but I think that's going to push him more, and I think that he's going to see a much better season this season. I
would have said Diaby. But I don't think he's going to get enough first team minutes because I think there's players in front of him. So for me, I'm going to really, really cross my fingers and hope it's Sinisterra. I would love it to be Sinisterra. I'd love for him to come in and be just the complete package. Because if it turns out that we've replaced Rafinha with that guy, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Most improved player. I think it'll be Firpo. That's what I think it'll be as well. Most improved player for me, a controversial one.
Can I just say, there is something that Jesse Marsh seems to see in Firpo that the fan base don't see.
Yeah, there's something Bielsa saw in Tyler Roberts that the fan base didn't see.
That's a really good point. That was quick. Yeah, there was. Okay, we'll move on from that.
Most improved. Quite a weird one, but I think it would probably be Rodrigo.
Most improved.
Just in the way he suits the system, I think he's going to see a much better season, as will Firpo.
I think that Rasmus might be the surprise package. I'm actually got high expectations for Rasmus.
Yeah.
I don't. And we're going to talk a little bit about where Leeds have changed and where they're stronger and where they're weaker, and whether we're a better team than we were last year. That's one of the questions we're going to answer a little bit of time.
Yeah. Breakthrough youngster.
Most improved. It's going to have to be for us to not go into the season with a couple of more signings and for it to work and for that to appear wise. It has to be Firpo or Rodrigo for me.
Agreed. What about breakthrough youngster?
Well,
Archie Gray for me.
Do we count Diaby as a youngster?
I think it'll be Archie Gray.
And has Greenwood and Joffrey already broke through?
Yeah. I think it'll be Archie Gray will break into the team this season, break into the squad.
So if we assume that if I think Melier will have a good season this season on account of the fact he'll have a regular defence in front of him. I think, bear in mind, Strauch broke through last season. We would say Greenwood broke through last season. He'll get a lot more minutes this year, will Greenwood. And bear in mind, Joffrey will get a lot more minutes. The question is what we mean by breakthrough. I don't think Archie Gray will get more than perhaps 1 or 2 starts, unless we're talking about cup games. I do think he will get some minutes. I do think he'll end up coming on in the 60th minute, perhaps half a dozen times. But we aren't going to see Archie Gray as a regular starter by the end of the season. That is just not going to happen.
I don't. I think he will definitely be in and around the squad and coming on as a substitute there.
And I don't think Diaby. So I think when we talk about breakthrough, it's going to have to be a player that's already likely to start or start half the matches who ends up with the first team place. For me, that could be Greenwood or Joffrey. And again,
Joffrey's already broken through for me.
There's a possibility of Hilda if we have injuries at the back. So for me, I'm gonna say Greenwood.
Okay. Final league position. Just quickly before we do that, I'm gonna run through the ones and see who I think it'll be for the whole league.
Ray, by the way, Diaby will cover for Rocker and Adams, and you know what? I think Rocker and Adams are probably going to pick more yellows up. Certainly, if Joffrey if Firpo sorts his disciplinary record out and the way he just wrestles people to the ground, I think that central midfield pairing is going to be suspended quite a lot of the season, possibly missing as many as between them 7 or 8 games. In which case, Diaby might get a lot of pitch time. You're right. I agree.
I think I'm just gonna top scorer for me for the whole league will be Erling Haaland. I've said before I don't think that he will. But after considering it and looking at some of the other signings that Man City have made that are going to be helping him out and looking at Man City in pre-season, how they're lining up, I think that'll really benefit him. I think he could be top scorer.
I would love to see Bamford with lots and lots of chances in front of goal, running Erling Haaland close. But for me, I think it will be Erling Haaland.
Starman, I think that it will probably, if we're on about a new signing that's going to be Starman, I think it'll be Ivan Perisic for Spurs. I think that he's just going to sort out their full-back, left-back problem really easily. I think Perisic will do really well for Spurs. Surprise package, Jed Spence. Baller, gone to Spurs. He will walk into that Spurs team in the first couple of months. Who Spurs got a left-back, let's be real. Emerson is terrible. Tanganga needs to be loaned out. They're not looking too good. But I think Spence will sort that out for them. Most improved player, I really want to say Joffrey, but I think it's probably going to be Cole Palmer for City. I think now Sterling's gone, he's going to get quite a few opportunities, and I think it's going to be in and around their team. Breakthrough youngster, again probably Cole Palmer. I think that he'll be getting a lot of minutes for City this season. Not a lot as opposed to starting, but I think he will be getting a lot more than he was before. So yeah, and we've already discussed where we think everyone will finish.
So before we talk about where Leeds are going to finish,
where will Leeds finish?
I think there's a couple of questions that's just come up. We've had one from Q from Burton Languistine. Is Leeds Premier League yet? Defence Premier League yet? And Freddie Mac disappointed with the Telegraph in terms of what the Telegraph is saying. And I think before we talk about Leeds' finished position, our predictions, we need to talk about whether we think Leeds are stronger. Then no, I don't think Calvin Phillips is going to get strong. I think he'll get 15 appearances.
No, I think he'll get in the City team. I think it will be rotational, playing in a pivot with Rodri. His stats since the start of the 20 to 21 season have always been better than Rodri's. Yeah. And I think that he will definitely have quite a good run in the City team.
Is our defence good enough? Let's just have a look at this at the minute. So how do we compare to last season in terms of, because first and foremost, if we're expecting that we're not going to get relegated this season, we've got to justify that. So the way we justify that is talking about ways in which we are better than we were last season. And when you're looking at the Daily Telegraph and we're looking at all these different pundits, these are pundits that don't like Leeds. Some of these guys just don't like Leeds. You're never going to listen to Gary Neville on Sky on a Leeds match commentating and he's going to say nice stuff about Leeds because quite frankly the guys, I don't like him. It's probably because he was just so associated with Scum for so long. I don't like Gary Neville, but some of these pundits, they just say stuff about Leeds that's just not generous. And they'd love for us to go down. They'd love for us to go down. It's almost, that's why Elland Road's like a fortress, because we're all Leeds, aren't we? But nobody else is in that regard. Now, there are parts last season where we were everybody's second team, but that's because of the beauty of the football that we were playing under Bielsa. Let's be right about it. But if we look at each of these areas, the first thing I will say is we talk about the fact we've lost Calvin Phillips and we've lost Rafinha, right? Now, what impact did Calvin Phillips? Let's just address Calvin Phillips
Last season,
first.
he hardly played. He didn't have any impact really.
So he had no impact really upon that. We talk about how important Calvin Phillips is to the side and that we lost so many games. How many games did he play last season?
I think he played about. I think it was.
Was it 10?
I think it was 12. Let me check.
10, 12 games last season. It was not what it should have been on account of his injuries. And we wanted to pick up maximum points while he was playing. So, hey guys, I was wondering if Leeds have spent any new money. Probably not. But then again, at the end of the day, there's a possibility. Okay, we have a good league performance this year. We stay up and demonstrate we're staying up. We get a stadium that pushes us to 60,000, which is really what we're in for. Because
he played 20 matches.
That means in 2 or 3 years' time, we're going to be in a situation where we're competing with the big boys and able to bring proper revenue in. That stadium is really important. So we've also got that on the horizon in terms of let's have a look. We can't go out and spend like Manchester City. We haven't got the money to do that. The question is, we've followed everybody's talking about is the Leicester model. Even Man U's following the Leicester model now, but then again, they're not what they were. The question is, have we actually improved? Have we stayed the same, or have we gone backwards? Now, Jesse Marsh was asked in the press conference whether he thinks that we're stronger, and he came back and said we are. So the question is, if we look at that, if we look at Calvin Phillips, like you've just said,
Joe Robles is that keeper. He won the FA Cup with Wigan. I think that it could be a good addition.
So the question is, Calvin Phillips. Have we replaced Calvin Phillips?
Yeah, definitely.
So why have we replaced Calvin Phillips?
Rocker and Adams, just Phillips split into two players for me. I think that they'll have quite a similar effect.
Yeah, and I think the thing with it is people say, oh, you're now using two players to do what Phillips did. But that's actually allowing other players to play further forward. So we don't just lose there's a different dynamic there almost. But Phillips would have had a limited effect on the season on account of the fact he was out for so much of it. Now I think Jarb is a good signing. I think it seems to me that Forshaw might be a better fit now in terms of what he's been told to do and what he's asked to do.
Will play. I think Forshaw might get more minutes than a lot of you were thinking.
So for me, I think that we are stronger in that area. I think we're stronger in that central defensive and central midfield area than we were with two players. We're stronger than we were with just Calvin Phillips, especially, bearing in mind it weren't actually Calvin Phillips, it was actually Adam Forshaw or Click for most of the season. So that's got to be a tick for me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that the CDM's definitely been upgraded.
Now, here's the thing. Right-hand side. Now, we haven't, in my opinion, signed a player as good as Rafinha.
No, I don't think we have. I think Sinisterra has the potential to be as good as Rafinha, but at the minute, I don't think Rafinha is I don't think he's any better off than Rafinha, really.
We've not replaced his output. We just haven't replaced his output. But what I will say is that if we look at Aronson and Rasmus Christensen and ask the question, are they going to be better on that right-hand side than Rafinha and Luke Ayling? And for me, and you missed this game, one thing that really stood out to me in the game was the way in which, in that final game we've just played, Rasmus Christensen and Aronson looked amazing together.
Yeah, well, they have the chemistry, don't they?
But the way they played the ball inside and outside the opposing fullback,
yeah.
Balls into the box, balls round the outside, they looked. It's very difficult to replace a world-class player, but what you've got on that side is a unit that works together. And I think we've actually replaced that with a like-for-like in terms of what its output is going to be, in terms of assists, goals, and overall attacking play. So for me, I personally am quite excited to see that right-hand side, even though Rafinha's not going to be on it. And I think we'll probably find at the end of the season that we've actually replaced Rafinha and Luke Ayling with two players that work together just as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So the other question is, in defence, do we look stronger in defence?
I think with Cock and Stark playing, I think we'll definitely look quite a bit stronger. And I think if we sign the left back, then my mind will be made up on that one.
I think for me, it's unlikely that we're going to experience the same defensive injuries as we did last year. last year's injury list at that point, coming up towards the January window, was catastrophic, in my opinion. Absolutely catastrophic. And that is one of the reasons why we struggled. And we struggled in the main because we didn't have a defensive pairing that was regular enough, that built up that sort of being able to read each other. And we were in a situation where the goalkeeper lost confidence in terms of distribution. He didn't know who was in front of him. I personally think that Llorente, when given a decent run with somebody who is a defensive partner that is the same defensive partner, I think we'll start to see something of a bond build up between those centre halves in a way that we haven't.
Yeah, I think Llorente is also don't write Llorente off as a possible captain, because I think that he's probably one of the better leaders in the team, and if he does in the situation that he is starting games, then I think that he could be in the running to be a captain.
Here's a question: do you think Llorente was better the season before than he was last season?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because he was playing next to Liam Cooper. He was playing next to the captain all season.
Do you think it was because he was playing next to the same player and he had a good run?
Yeah.
So what does that tell us about last season in terms of Llorente's performance?
That he never got a consistent partner. We played something like I think we played 18 defensive pairings last season. We played 18 backline, just 4 backline pairings.
So that's a concern. Now, if we're in a situation where now we have something more consistent, we've got to see that has a. We were miserable. But again, people are saying it's the defence. I think it was a combination of two things, right? It was two things. First and foremost, our midfield. We're trying to work the ball out from the back, and we've got Adam Forshaw, who's a holding midfielder who plays the ball square or back, and he hasn't got a defensive partner who distributes, right? So what's happening is the ball is coming straight back all the time. We've not actually got an out ball. We've not got a Patrick Bamford. We've got nobody holding the ball up front. That is a problem. And that's a problem that's going to cause any defence to be constantly working.
Yeah, I think with Cooper and Llorente, Cooper is a ball winner, but he's always back to Melia when Cooper wins it. That's why Llorente and Cooper worked so well, because Cooper would win the ball and then he'd just pass it sideways. Llorente had put it into the middle and would work from there. Llorente was always the ball player for me.
But Melia would get nervous on account of the fact the ball's always coming back. You want the ball up the other end if you're the keeper. You don't want to be involved in the game, ideally, because if you're a keeper and you're not involved in the game, that means your team's attacking and is likely to score goals. You can't win games without scoring goals.
Yeah.
And for Leeds, I think there's going to be a little bit more stability with those two, that defensive pairing in front of that defence. So, look, I get that we're going to have issues, but the issues we have in defence are going to be different. The issues we had last year with defence was that we were playing the ball out and it was coming straight back. We had nobody to hold the ball up and we couldn't stay in the attacking third. This year, the problem is we're going to get caught on the break. Now, if you're getting caught on the break, that is because we're going to be attacking right before that, because we're going to spend more this year attacking, more time attacking, more time in the opponent's final third. That's going to mean we're looking at a completely different dynamic with regards to the games. Might work, might not. We might not score when we're up there third and finish our chances. Might not even create the chances. And then we get caught on the break. But ideally, we'll score enough of those chances to get enough of those points to finish where we want to finish. By the way, we're on 91 people watching the video. That's a number. Please smash a like on the video. We'd really appreciate it. Left back.
Left back, I think, against Wolves.
No, we're going to talk about Wolves in a minute. Okay. Where are we at in terms of how are we better than we were last year?
I think we're probably worse with Firpo injured. I think we definitely need to get a left back in.
I think Jesse Marsh seems to like Firpo. For whatever reason. Obviously we had Dallas as an option, so what we haven't got is depth.
We're doing a lot worse off at left back this season. I think Strauch's probably the only real option that would work at left back. Hjelder's not experienced enough. Harrison doesn't work at left back, as we've seen. James is a possible option. I've always said I think James could work at left back, but I think we definitely need a left back in desperately.
Okay, so then we've also got now, so we've covered that. What about attacking midfield?
I think we're much stronger in attacking midfield.
What did we have last year then?
Rodrigo, and then we were just Click, Rodrigo and Click, and that was it.
But I think that this system, I'm really hoping I'm right when I'm saying this. This system seems to suit Rodrigo better.
Yeah, definitely.
So if we just get a better Rodrigo, That's got to be good.
Yeah.
What about up front?
Up front, we look stronger. Bamford's going to be like a new signing, and I think that he's gonna do okay this season. Again, I still think he's going to get injured a few times, going to pick up a few knocks here and there. But you know, most players pick up a few injuries throughout the season.
I think the question with Bamford is he going to have more of an impact than what he did last year? And I don't think he could have less of an impact than he did last year. If we did, then that's catastrophic.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So the question is, listening to the press conferences recently, do you think we're going to be investing in more players?
I think that we'll sign a left back. Maxwell Cornet looks like he's going to West Ham now, which is such a shame because I thought it would be a brilliant player for us if we signed him. 17.5 million. As I said, I thought it would cost. I thought it'd cost around the 17.5 million mark, and it looks like that's what it's gone for. Quite annoying because I think it would have fit the left back, striker, and winger role, so he could have filled in a few positions there. But I think that we'll sign a left back. I think maybe Philip Max. I think it could be Miguel Gutierrez from Real Madrid. Even Luke Thomas from Leicester would be a good signing. Obviously, not getting in that team because of James Justin. But I think that we'll go out and sign a left back. Keeper's looking like it's going to be done by next week. And I think that a striker is really a coin toss now, whether we sign a striker or not.
I think for me, looking at the press conference and looking at Jesse Marsch saying that we're now taking stock and we're keeping an eye on the squad that we've got, that signals to me that this Wolves game is quite pivotal. It's quite pivotal. If we get exposed during this game at left back and get away with it, it's almost like it's a difficult one. If we get leathered 4-0 and everything comes down the left, and Bamford gets injured in that first game, and looks like he's going to be out for the season, then I have reasonable hope that Radrizzani will go out and Orta will go out, and we will buy a left back, and we will buy a striker. Now, bear in mind Bamford's fit, and Firpo isn't far from that left back position. I think that if we play well in that Wolves game and Strout plays at left back and plays really, really well, Bamford looks like he's fit, knocks a goal or two in, and we win that game, and then we go into the next game optimistic, everybody's high, everybody's thinking things are great, nobody's talking doom and gloom, people start thinking actually this Leeds side look like they're going to be okay. I mean, obviously all these tabloids and all these different reporters are saying Leeds are going to go down because they reckon we were close to relegation last year and we've lost our best two players. They don't see the fact that our whole dynamic has changed completely almost. And we've bought players that are assistant players, and we've really lost Calvin Phillips, who didn't have an impact last season. So for me, it's a funny one because if we win this game and don't sign anybody, that could have a knock-on effect for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
If we lose this game and go and make a couple of decent signings, that could also have a knock-on effect for the rest of the season. So as a Leeds fan, I'm kind of in a bit of a catch-22. I want to get the 3 points, but I want to get the 3 points with the skin of his teeth, and I want us to look like we're exposed on that left-hand side.
What's your predicted lineup for the Wolves game?
So, and we'll move on to the Wolves game now, of course. But incidentally, where do you think we're going to finish?
I think we will probably finish, I think 14th is where I've got my mind set now. 14th is right. I think we'll still struggle towards maybe the January area. Like December, we might struggle there. But then in January, I think we'll make a few signings where we need to sign, and we'll sort it out.
I'm a seasoned optimist. I regularly put my foot in it at this time of the season because I cannot help myself. I watch this in the friendlies. I see the players we sign. I'm so excited for us to get into this season, and we're going to win the league. Now, obviously, that's unfortunately how I think we'll finish 3-1. I think 3-1 is a Rita. I think that's a fair assessment. We'll get onto the Wolves game in a minute. I think if we can keep Bamford fit and we can get Rodrigo motivated and firing, I think we might even finish 8th or 9th.
No, I don't think. I think 14th is more realistic.
So let me ask you a question. Are we a better side than the side that got newly promoted and hit the Premiership for the first side that finished ninth?
We're definitely a better side.
Okay. Are the opposition that we're playing against and the teams that we're playing against, and the newly relegated sides, are they better or worse than the teams that we played when we first came up?
I think we're playing better teams. I think.
So why do you think we're not going to finish ninth?
The season we came up, every team. I think 2 of the teams that got promoted went down, and then Sheffield United, who had just come up the season before. This season, I think you're going to see Forest battling it out for mid-table. I think Fulham, now they've signed Byrne, Leno, Pereira. I think they've just signed. I think they've signed quite a few good players. I think Fulham are going to be doing well. I think Bournemouth's really the only team that's going to do bad.
So you think 14s?
Yeah.
See, I think we are now with this new system. I think we're as strong as we were, with the exception of the left back. If we can keep our team fit, and this is a key, we've got more depth than we had before. We've got the same sort of depth that we had across the centre back positions than we had last year. The difference this year is we can't possibly expect to have this. We're not going to have the same number of injuries at centre half than we did last year. We'd be tremendously unlucky if that's the case. I think we're better. We're better at right back. I think at left back we really need to make a signing, and I hope that we make a signing before the start of September. Really do. Not sure if we will or not. I think we're better in midfield, and I think we've got something that will suit the Premiership, and I think we'll kick on. I think we'll finish 8th or 9th.
Lyle, the kits are £70. And then 85 with a name on the back, so we didn't get names.
They're 65. But if you want the Premiership badge, I'm not bothered about the Premiership badge. It's the Leeds badge I'm bothered about.
What do you think the lineup will be then? Should we start with right back?
So right back. It's going to be Rasmus.
He has have you seen his shiner? He got a proper shiner on his eye. But have you seen?
He stayed down for ages, and then he just jumped up.
Have you seen it? Have you seen his eye?
No, I've not seen his eye since the game.
In training, he's in training, so he probably will play, but he has got a right shiner on his eye.
Yeah. Incidentally, we're on 110 people watching the video. Please smash your like on the like button, and if you've not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate your support in that. Help us build it. So Rasmus at right back. I don't think anybody's in doubt. Melly is going to start in goal.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to sign a goalkeeper at some stage this next week. Who do you think that's going to be?
I think it'll be Joe Robles from Betis on a free transfer.
Okay. Centre half. Who are we going to have?
Centre half pairing. I think Strack will start at left back, and I think you probably see Koch and Llorente at centre back.
For me, Koch and Strack would be my preferred centre half pairing, but Strack's going to be a left back, and again, Jesse Marsh was. I mean, Joe pitched up on this a few times. He was talking about how Jesse Marsh was talking a lot about set pieces and how that's the kind of football we want to play and this, that, and that. I get what you're saying, Joe. And he said that he called Strack a 50p head, which I thought was really funny. It made me laugh.
So, defensive midfield.
But I think we're going to be better on set pieces this year. And that's really important because set pieces aren't just about scoring at their end. They're also about defending at our end. And we looked really bad on set pieces last year. One of the areas that we're not going to concede as many goals this year is set pieces. Yeah. And I think that's a positive going forward.
CDM pairing, who do you think that'll be?
Well, obviously that's going to be
Rocker and Adams.
2
wingers. Sinisterra's going to be out, probably, it looks like.
He's probably starting back training him. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe appear on the bench next week.
Yeah, I think that Harrison and James is probably my winger pairing.
Yeah.
That's the only real option. And then, are you putting 2 up front or a striker and a cam?
Well, I think we're going to have Harrison on left wing, and I think we're going to have Aronson on the right. I think we're going to have Rodri in the middle. Everton fan, more optimistic going into the season with 5 new signings this window. Hopefully a striker before it shuts. All Everton fans. Yeah, we've got Everton fan on here.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
You're going down.
Fat Frank.
You're going down. I think you're going down. I think you're one of the teams that we're earmarking to be. We know we're not going to finish bottom because at least we'll finish better than Everton.
Yeah. I think that then obviously I'm going to go with a front 3 with an attacking midfielder, Aronson, Harrison and James on the wing, and then either Rodrigo and Bamford up front. I don't think that Rodrigo will start in attacking midfielder. I don't think Marsh sees him as an attacking midfielder.
You don't think Joffrey's going to start?
I don't think Joffrey will start.
You don't think Rodrigo's? Oh, you think Rodrigo's going to, or Rodri?
I think he wants if he plays Rodrigo. I think Marsh ideally wants to have him in a 2. So I don't think that he'll start if we're playing an attacking midfielder.
You don't?
No.
So you thinking we're going to have 2 up front?
Yeah, I think that like last season we saw him playing 1 up front, playing more of an orthodox system, and then after half time he would sort of rotate the players a bit and then change to a 2 up front.
So just to clarify, who's he having up front?
Who's he having up front? Probably Rodrigo or Bamford. I don't know which one. We're going to have to wait and see.
2 up front, Rodrigo.
1 up front with an attacking midfielder.
Right, I think he's going to have Bamford up front. I think he's going to have Rodrigo just in behind.
I think Aronson will be in behind.
No, I think Aronson will be on the right wing.
I think James will be on the right wing.
James is suspended.
I forgot James was suspended. Aronson on the wing, Rodrigo behind Bamford. It is
Oh, really?
So I forgot James was suspended for the first game.
Dan got something wrong. Just note this down. Please keep that in the comments and just remind him of that throughout the season.
Aylan at centre-back.
Incidentally,
is that Aylan at centre-back?
Joe Wyman was on. Joe was saying earlier that he might have Aylan at centre-back.
Aylan at centre-back? Is that Aylan at
all right. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
My predicted Wolves lineup, I've got it screenshotted here, is Jose Sarr in net. Obviously, Semedo is injured, which is quite a big one for them. He's obviously a really good right back. So I think Ike Norrie at left back, Kilman and Collins, the new signings. Connor Cody, I think if I was a Wolves fan, I would be saying start phasing him out. I don't think that he's good enough. Johnny at right back, obviously right-footed left back. Okay, nice talking to you. Bye, lad. Johnny, right-footed left back. He can obviously cover in there, left back. The midfield is something where Wolves have really not strengthened this season. But they're not really.
Young man is very sharp.
No.
He were going to pick James for right wing, so don't talk about him being sharp because his head gets that big. He's already got people telling him on here he looks like Joffrey.
He said he would put Ayling at centre back.
Okay, all right.
Starting Ayling at centre back. Neves in the CDM role, Dendoncker and Moutinho. I think with Wolves, I think that Bruno Lage has been experimenting with 5 at the back this season. So I think that Dendoncker is going to play a massive part in that, in playing in a CDM and dropping back and helping out at centre-back, because obviously he is sort of like a hybrid CDM centre-back like Phillips. So Dendoncker will play a massive part for Wolves this season. Dendoncker and Moutinho and Neves in the midfield 3. Dendoncker obviously in the CDM, dropping back to help out at centre-back. And then I would have Neto on the left wing, Podence on the right wing, and then Gibbs-White up front in a false 9. Obviously Jimenez out injured, which not very good because obviously it is good. But obviously Leeds fans love giving him a bit of grief, don't they?
So, Jan Wilder, what do we think about Rasmus for left back?
No.
Just no. Just keep Rasmus right. Look at the last game we played against Cagliari. We looked a constant threat on that right-hand side. And one more thing, just before you ask it, Freddie Mac asking what will it take to remove the dominance of the so-called top 6 and make for a more open and interesting league as it used to be. It would financial fair play being policed properly.
I was going to say that. That's what I was going to say.
Would be the only thing.
And referees as well. Maybe an overhaul of referees because a lot of them are really biased towards the Big 6 as we've seen. I think just before we start wrapping up, what's your score prediction?
3-1.
3-1-2.
To Leeds. Do you think Wolves are going to struggle this season? How do you think they're going to do this season? I think they'll struggle.
I think it'll probably be a quite low down finish for them. I don't think they'll be fighting relegation. I think that they will be below expectations. I think maybe 15th to 12th, really. I think the score will be 1-0 Leeds, hopefully. I don't think Wolves have enough calibre up front. I think the only real threat they have up front is Pedro Neto, who is probably going to be their best player tomorrow. And the one thing I fear is if he's on the right wing, it could be Stroud could have a bit of a problem.
Wolves were playing a back 5 last season, and then they look like they're going to play a back 4.
I think they were playing a back 4 last season.
Right.
They were playing a back 5 last season. Lage's been experimenting with different types of back 5s, different ways he can change that. He's been making back 4s, but I think this season Dendoncker's going to play a massive part in transitioning from a back 5 to a back 4, because obviously he's going to be in CDM and he can drop back if they're not adapting well to a back 4. He can drop back and play as a centre back and play in the middle of the centre back pairing.
How do you think
to make it back 5.
Do you think Wolves will score against us? And obviously you're saying,
I don't think they will.
3-1.
I don't think they've got enough.
You said 3-1, so obviously.
No, I said 1-0 Leeds.
You said 1-0 Leeds.
You said 3-1.
Yeah, I said 3-1.
I think that they've not got enough calibre up front. Obviously, if they're going to have Gibbs White in the false 9, I think they were looking at Christian Benteke to replace Raul Jimenez, which is just an abysmal signing. Benteke was like, he's older than Wolves Football Club itself. But I think that not really. But I think that I don't think they'll score. No, Podence is on his day. He's a bit more like a Rodrigo on his day. He's one of the best players. But you know, it's when his day comes, and I don't think it'll be tomorrow. And I don't think Gibbs White is going to adapt to the Premier League straight away. Obviously, he's been out on loan at Sheffield United. Nottingham Forest look close to agreeing a deal for him. But for tomorrow, I think he'll be in the false 9 role. I don't think that he'll bag anything. I think Neto is probably a threat though, but I think Rasmus will, if he's on the left wing, Rasmus will sort him out.
So we will obviously do
a watch long.
We're going to do watch long this time. What we will do is I'm putting my foot down on that one. What we will do is we will do a post match analysis. What I'm going to say is, horrendous time wasting. Yeah, I mean we're talking about heading the ball out and falling over, heading.
That's why that's where they're going to miss Jimenez. That's where they're going to miss Jimenez.
So the question is, are they going to do that from the start? I think we'll get an early goal. There will be an early goal in this game. I do think. I think we're going to finish 3-1. Aronson's going to get he's going to get his first goal for Leeds. He's going to get his debut goal. It's going to be a really, really interesting game.
No, continue. I think the goal scorer will be Harrison.
Wolves is a team that, if you look at their forums, you look at a lot of what their fans are saying, they're worried where their goals are going to come from. We do have Bamford fit. We do have Joffrey fit. We do have Rodrigo looking like he's got his tail up. So for me, I do think we've got goals in us in this game. Even though we're playing a team that I think are worried about scoring goals, I'm not sure how we are defensively. I think we're going to potentially get caught on the break. A lot of people are saying 3-1. That seems to be where the sensible money is. And that for me,
1-0.
For me, it's 3-1. So we'll obviously remember that. And we'll come back and
I think Harrison's going to be the goal scorer. And I think it's going to be 1-0. But yeah.
So again, do us a favour, if you've not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button on the way out. Make sure you obviously like the videos. We will be back just after the game, within the first sort of 24 hours after the game. We'll be doing a video which will be our post-match talk, where we'll just give our impressions of the game and how it went. We'll also be talking about whether we think that would prompt Leeds United to be investing in more players or not, because I do think this time is pivotal for us for the rest of the season. If we have a good performance, it's unlikely we're going to invest. If we have a bad performance, again, it's possible that we may end up bringing players in. That could be a bit of a silver lining, even if we have a bad game.
And when this is a video, not a live, just comment who you're going to get on the back of your new shirt. If you do get a shirt, who you're going to get on the back of it.
Yeah, what do you think? What's your
thoughts?
thoughts?
What do you think to the cheese kit?
What do you think? It is going to be named the cheese kit.
But
there's no doubt about it.
Everyone hated the maroon camouflage kit on the season we came up, but that's now remembered as the Rafinha Beast Mode kit and the Stuart Dallas versus City kit. The maroon kit, not the maroon kit, the
mauve,
the purplish kit. We've got it behind us right there in the middle. Everyone hated that when it came out, but that's now remembered as the last day survival kit. So you know it'll grow on you. A few goals in it, and it'll grow on you. But anyway,
speak to you next time.
Again,
hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll speak to you after the game.
Speak to you soon. See you next time.